SportsBit is powered by BetOnline, driving the opening odds market since 2001. Visit sportsbookreview.com to learn more about BetOnline and its A+ rated platform in the link below.
Hey, here we are, SportsBit, betting insight today, Pauly and Teddy. We made it, November 1st, Wednesday. Big game breakdown coming up. We'll get to Game 7 of the World Series. Doesn't get any better than this. Temple and Navy Thursday night football. We'll also get to the Rockets and the Knicks, deep dive, rapid fire, some of the moves at the trade deadline in the NFL. Off a 13-12 game, we had a 3-1 finish. Verlander loses for the first time since coming over in the trade from Detroit. Rich Hill, 4 2/3. Dodger bullpen shuts the door. They win 3-1. And that went crazy. As you said, you saw a $1.15 send out with the Astros. I saw as high as $1.42 on the Dodgers late afternoon. Got down to $1.30. Biggest handle of all time in Nevada for a World Series handle. It's bananas.
And there's so many factors influencing the money line that really have nothing to do with the handicap. You know, you got a mattress king from Houston spreading money all around town, trying to hedge his bets. You have ticket brokers from LA running around town, trying to hedge their bets. You've got, some guy who's been letting it all ride and making pretty big sums in this World Series. He's been winning, letting it all ride and affecting the line that way. All of these factors individually would be a pretty big increase in hand. When you put them together and you throw in the fact that, hey, none of them really have anything to do with the handicap, this World Series is beyond. It's epic from a betting standpoint. It's been epic from a viewing standpoint. And certainly the Peterson home run last night to kind of seal the deal. And the Dodger bullpen shutting the door on a night that we didn't know they'd be able to do that, Pauly. Let's give LA credit. I didn't think they'd bounce back. They did. And now it's the Astros who are up against it when it comes to Game 7 on the road. Although we've seen the last two teams facing Game 7 on the road come away victorious, the Royals and the Cubs last year. We'll preview Game 7 later on in Big Game Breakdown.
Good job by the committee. I give them an A-. First college football TV show was Tuesday night. Georgia won, Bama, Notre Dame, Clemson, Oklahoma, Ohio State. I think Penn State's too high at number 7, and Oklahoma State's too low at number 11. No respect for two undefeated teams. Wisconsin, number 9, Miami, number 10. Miami's a bit of a fraud dealing with some injuries, although they have a lot of ranked teams left on the schedule. Wisconsin's in a world of hurt. They have a horrible schedule. They're not going to play anybody worth anything the rest of the season. Even if they go undefeated, they're up against it to get in the playoff.
Yeah, they are. But then again, remember, this is the first playoff rankings. There's a long, long way to go between now and when the college football playoff pairings are actually announced in December. I thought there were two things that stood out to me from a betting standpoint. Number one, the Pac-12 is screwed. If Washington is the Pac-12's top entrant at number 12, they're not getting a bid. It's just that simple. The Pac-12 looks to me to be out of the playoff picture already, even though we're just entering November. The other thing that stood out to me, Georgia over Alabama, Pauly. What do you think of that, with the Bulldogs being ranked number 1?
That's the right move. Alabama hasn't played anybody. Alabama has one win against a ranked team. That's the right move. Or excuse me, one win against a team with a winning record. Think about that. Clemson has 6.
Yeah, and conceptually, I have no argument with Georgia being ahead of Alabama. That being said, I wouldn't want to be taking LSU this weekend with Alabama sitting at number 2 in the rankings. And, of course, the LSU Tigers with an offense that, once again, doesn't work.
Well, some bad bets. Miami of Ohio last night. Maction plus 9.5 down to 7.5. Lost by 17 at Ohio. Ragland, the quarterback, healthy enough to play. He threw for 350 yards, but they couldn't get any stops. And bad for the Bucs. Sacramento, Indiana total 210 down to 206. Only 117 headed into the fourth. OKC took money from 1 up to 2.5. They ran out the Bucs as Greek Freak doesn't have a lot of help.
No, I'll tell you what. OKC was impressive last night. I don't even know if you saw the quote after the game where Jason Kidd called Russell Westbrook the Mike Tyson of the NBA. Worth noting, the Thunder win a game by margin in which Westbrook, George, and Anthony all scored 20 or less. It was a team effort for OKC last night, and probably the most impressive victory of the season. Bettors got it right. Bookmakers took a beating on that one.
Look at this, Steve. 70-cent move in a hockey game. Rangers open $1.80, as high as $2.50 here in Vegas at the win. The Golden Knights are on their fourth-string goalie. They led 4-2 in the third period, and not only did they lose, but you got the puck line with the Rangers, who score with a minute left. You're welcome, Teddy. 6-4 Rangers plus $1.35 on the puck line.
Oh, that's just brutal. You know, you're on the if you're on plus 1.5 with Vegas, and you're up 4-2 in the third, you got to be feeling pretty good about that, considering how well they played early on. Unfortunately, the defense failed them late. Tough beat for those who faded the line move against Vegas last night.
Early week line moves in NFL. We've seen early money on the Jets tomorrow at home against the Bills, down to 3. Jags taking money. Cardinals and the Raiders Sunday night against the Dolphins, who have a ton of issues.
Yeah, and I mean, heavy Oakland money coming in, -3, -120. It looks as if this line could go up to 3.5 by kickoff. I'm not seeing any support for the Dolphins among the wise guys in town, and I'm not seeing any support for the Dolphins among the recreational players. So that's a line that's already steamed and is likely to steam more between now and kickoff. If you like the Raiders, lock in at 3 now. That line's not going down.
Up next, big game breakdown. Game 7 of the World Series. Nothing any better. It's a first Game 7 World Series history at Dodger Stadium. How about that? We'll get to that. A game in the association, and Navy and Temple on SportsBit. Betting Insight today on SBRpicks.com.
Hey guys, thanks for stopping by Sportsbook Review, YouTube's largest sports betting channel. Every day we're here giving you the most up-to-date news and info, all to help you make the best bet. On top of that, guys, it's free. So look, do us a favor, click the like button, subscribe to our channel, leave a comment or a question. Our goal here is to make sure that everyone becomes a smarter, better. So join the SPR Army today and start winning with Sportsbook Review.
Back on SportsBit, Betting Insight today. Time for a big game breakdown. Sponsored and powered by BetOnline. Exceptional customer service, strong promotions, every type of wager you're looking for out there. A lot of steam on the Dodgers already as we tape. They're $1.60. 7.5 the total. It's been a 30-cent move in some spots already. It's McCullers against Darvish. McCullers okay. Walked the bases loaded, then got out of it, only giving up 1 run as Seager hit into a double play. They gave him an early 4-run lead. Looks like Morton's the first guy out of the pen, but this is a fascinating handicap. If a starter gets lit up early, everyone's available, and I mean everyone available out of the pen here for both teams.
Yeah, I mean, Charlie Morton threw 76 pitches on Saturday. He'll likely be the first guy out for Houston. Dallas Keuchel, he's had 2 days off after throwing 86 pitches on Sunday. He's likely to be the next guy up for Houston in this one. But boy, you talk about money. I mean, heavy money. The money has been pouring in on the Dodgers. Pouring in. I mean, as we were recording, we're like, all right, let's set it at 150. No, 155. No, it's 160. You can find minus 167 right now as we're talking. It's been nothing but Dodgers money. Under money coming in as well with juice there. And you can understand the concept with the under money because anybody that gets in trouble is going to be out of the game. But in a situation like this where A, you got a bunch of guys going who just threw a whole bunch of pitches a couple days ago, and B, we got some legit questions about Yu Darvish tonight when it comes to the slick baseballs that MLB and his ability to throw the slider.
Game 3, 12 batters, 6 hits, 4 runs, didn't have a single swinging strike. Think about that. Through an interpreter, he said, I had trouble with the ball throwing a slider. It was slicker. From the Sports Illustrated article from Tom Verducci, batters had just hit 109 against his sliders since he joined the Dodgers. It's considered one of the best sliders in the game, but the metrics on the pitch showed it was worse in Game 3 than it had been during the regular season. The horizontal break, 8.42, down from 9.12 from the season. Maybe Wood first out or Kershaw. Kershaw said he can get 27 outs if they need be, 27 innings, whatever. He's ready to go. So you can go Darvish, Wood, Kershaw if he struggles early.
Yeah, sure. You know, Wood threw 84 pitches on Saturday. Kershaw threw 94 pitches on Sunday. But when you talk about the key guys from the Dodgers bullpen who've been the difference makers throughout this postseason run, Kenta Maeda, you know, he's thrown 106 pitches here in the World Series. He's been in 4 games. I don't know that he can go tonight. Brandon Morrow's been in all 6 games. I don't know that he can go tonight. Kenley Jansen coming off another 2-inning save. He's thrown 5 games, 109 pitches, multiple innings Sunday and Tuesday. I don't know that he can go tonight. Fascinating game, Pauly. Very, very difficult game to handicap, in my opinion. It really is not a game that I have a single dollar on going into the first pitch.
Yeah, the Astros a completely different team on the road, too. As Puig called it, a baby park in Houston. Altuve and Correa have really struggled on the road. And you saw what happened yesterday, only scoring 1 run. Astros a different team offensively on the road. Game number 2, live odds bet online. Check out SBR picks and SBR odds as we break these games down. The bet online number, the Rockets are 5.5 and 212.5 the total. Game 1 of a doubleheader on ESPN. So Chris Paul's been out. He played 33 minutes in the opening night win at Golden State. Nothing since. They're 4-3 straight up and 2-5 ATS without him. Lack of depth's a problem, and also closing. They blew a big lead at home against Memphis. Well, I've lost twice to them. Memphis has their number. That's just how it is. And then they lost at home to the Sixers. In all 3 losses, only 7 players go 20 minutes or worse. Tucker and Mbah a Moute, the only ones he trusts off the bench, D'Antoni, to play more than that. And they can't play the pace that they want or get their offense going.
Well, yeah, we were all wondering, hey, what's Chris Paul going to look like playing in Houston? Well, you saw the pick. This is what Chris Paul looks like in Houston right now, sitting on the bench in street clothes. You look at the graphic here with the pace numbers. Way down from last year. I mean, significantly down. In the lower half of the league in pace so far. So you talked about their struggles against the spread, just 2-5 against the number since Chris Paul got hurt. They're also 6-1 to the under since opening night. Mike D'Antoni, quote, "We've just got to push it. It's not as bad as I thought it was. By our numbers, we're 8th or 9th. I don't know about the league numbers. We just need to be more focused at doing it. We haven't done it. We've been working at it and talking about it, trying to get better. That's the key." Houston coming off back-to-back losses against the 76ers and Grizzlies. And it's worth noting, in those 2 defeats, the first time since D'Antoni took over before last season that they have shot under 40% from the floor in back-to-back games. Rockets offense isn't working right now, plain and simple, although facing the Knicks defense might help that a little bit.
Knicks have won 3 in a row. 2 outright as dogs. 5.5 at home against Denver, won that game. And they were double-digit dogs and ran out the Cavs. They beat the spread by 61 points in those games and won the boards by 44, number 2 in rebounding percentage of rebounds that they grab. It's been the Porzingis show, 30 points in 5 of the 6 games, 8 rebounds a game as well. Jordan, the last player to score at least 30 in 5 of the first to start a season. He's averaging 30.7 per game in 34 minutes. You see the development, throw up this graphic from 2016, 17, and 18, the 2-point percentage and the 3-point percentage. It continues to go up, although the supporting cast, I don't know. The East is horrible. Maybe you think in playoffs because it's so bad, but not a lot of upside for the rest of these, the rest of this roster. And certainly they struggle to play defense.
It's fun to see the Knicks crowd chanting MVP, not in a sarcastic way, because that's all they've done for the last decade plus. You know, Porzingis, legitimate development into superstar form so far this season. When you talk about a guy that's taken that next step, and at 7'3", with the ability to put the ball on the floor, with the ability to hit shots from the wing, and with the ability to block shots in the paint, he's a really tough matchup. Impressed with Porzingis so far. And the Knicks, hey, let's be honest, they've been better, Pauly, than we thought they would be.
One more, Thursday, ESPN, Navy and Temple. Navy's 8 on the road, 55 the total. That's the bet online number. 34-10 last year, Temple in the American Athletic Championship game. Navy was caught in a tough spot as they had Army the week after. Revenge a factor. Navy coach Neil Montalolo not thinking about that. Quote, "That's the least of my concerns. I don't talk about it. Media brings it up. It's a totally different year. We're a different team." Temple's a different team too. Last year doesn't have any bearing. We're looking at the here and now. We're looking at the 2017 Navy team and figuring how we can get ready for Temple. We're not even talking about that or worrying about last year. AB back at quarterback, got cleared to play again, had to leave the Central Florida game because of concussion protocol. Extremely important because the Navy running backs are average this season, and AB's been their attack. 1,100 yards, 13 touchdowns. You look at Perry, High, and Bonner, not much to speak of. He is so important to this team.
Yeah, I mean, he's their offense. It's a one-man offense for Navy, which is not something we're used. We've seen some pretty good quarterback play at Navy through the years, but I have not been impressed with their running back play so far this season. Navy seems like the only playmaker they have on that roster right now. But one negative for Navy, Temple's going to be ready for this option. You can't ask for a better scenario for the new coaching staff. And look, it's a new staff since last December, but personnel, yeah, these guys, most of the personnel went through the training for the option. And guess what they did? First, they have Army 2 weeks ago. Then they have a bye. Then they have Navy. 3 weeks to concentrate on stopping the option. And did a great job at Army shutting down the Knights in that ballgame. They held them to a season-low 248 rushing yards. But, look at the picture right here. On the final drive, they couldn't stop the pass. 28-21 lead became a 28-28 tie on that pass with 1 second left on the clock, and Army won it in overtime, 31-28. Temple getting Frank Newtile, going to have his second straight start at quarterback. The original starter, Logan Marchie, he couldn't go against Army. He's not that good. Newtile, 20-29 for 290 yards and a touchdown without a pick. He might have played well enough to earn that starting job anyway. He will get a second chance for the Temple Owls on Thursday night.
We'll get back to this with the play of the day coming up. Up next, the deep dive, trade reactions, and you won't believe what the Browns did on SportsBit. Betting Insight today on SBRpicks.com.
Go to SBRodds.com. Browse, compare, and shop live odds available at top online sportsbooks.
Wrap it up on SportsBit, Betting Insight today. Pauly and Teddy, quick deep dive, trade reactions to what happened finally in a great trade deadline with the NFL. Boy, the Browns would screw up a cup of coffee. The Browns should be relegated. What a disaster. The Bengals sent it into the league that the trade McCarron to the Browns for a second and a third. First of all, know the market. The 49ers give up a second for Garoppolo. You're giving up a second and a third for McCarron? Problem is, the coaching staff's frustrated because the front office with Cleveland left before 5 o'clock. They couldn't call in and get the pick in time. No deal.
And look, let me be very clear about this. This is a win for the Cleveland Browns. A.J. McCarron is not going to be an NFL starting quarterback. He's certainly not the answer for Cleveland. And a second and third rounder for that? You better not send the paperwork in on that garbage. It was a terrible deal, although the disconnect between Cleveland's coaching staff and front office never been on more display than it was yesterday. Hugh Jackson not likely to be back with the Browns next season. That's something to factor in as you think about Cleveland games the rest of the way.
And Garoppolo won't play for the 49ers this week. Apparently, Shanahan has seen enough of C.J. Beathard from Iowa. Hoyer was cut. Patriots are supposed to get Hoyer as well. They better. There's no one. Brady's the only guy on the roster right now after they traded Garoppolo and Brissett earlier in the season. So it looks like it'll be Hoyer to back up Brady. Patriots on a bye.
Yeah, and look, C.J. Beathard is who he is, which is not an NFL starting quarterback. And it didn't take long for San Fran to realize that. Looks like they've identified Garoppolo as the guy they want to go with, which also, the dominoes start to fall. That affects what happens with Kirk Cousins in Washington, et cetera, et cetera. From a point spread perspective, doesn't change my rating for either team, although I'd be a little bit even more reluctant. Not that I was excited about the Niners this week at Arizona anyway, but I'd be even more reluctant to get involved with San Fran, knowing that Beathard likely a lame duck at starting QB this week.
Something Philadelphia should have done. Help a left tackle and fix the offensive line now that Peters is out for the year. Wentz took a beating in the win against the 49ers. Seattle gets Dwayne Brown from Houston. They had to change the trade after Lane failed a physical coming over from Seattle. So Seattle tries to fix the offensive line there. And I know they got a Jai, but Philadelphia wanted to do something, couldn't address the offensive line at the deadline.
Sure. Big move for the Seattle Seahawks. This is a difference-making move. And the Texans, they have already learned to adapt without Dwayne Brown, being that they played, the first 7 games of the season while he was having a holdout. So they've survived and advanced behind him. Now they get some assets for the future. And Seattle gets the linemen they need. I don't know, there's an offensive line situation that's significantly worse than the Seahawks in the NFL. Dwayne Brown comes in and immediately makes that line at least a little bit better. And that's good news for a team that hopes to be playing in the Super Bowl come February.
Nice job here. I look like a genius. I picked the Bills to make the playoffs before the season. They get Kelvin Benjamin. Now helps that they're plus 14 in turnover differential. Benjamin to help out with Jordan Matthews and give Taylor a weapon. Now, as far as the Panthers making the deal, Newton's left with Funchess and Dixon until they can get Olsen back. He doesn't have a lot of weapons, but remember, when Benjamin got hurt in camp, he had his best season, MVP. They went 15-1. So I also would expect even more passes going to McCaffrey, who should set the rookie record for receptions in a season.
Yeah, and this is really kind of a head scratcher at first glance. Say, what the hell are the Panthers doing? For Buffalo, it makes perfect sense. You bring in a big guy who can make plays downfield for Tyrod Taylor. And the Bills, it's worth cashing some chips to try to make the postseason this year, and Buffalo made the right move there. For Carolina, you say, what the hell is this squad doing? Benjamin can be a difference maker for them. Here's the GM, Marty Herney, quote, "The thinking for us is just to get more speed on the field and a better diversity of skill sets on the field." They want Curtis Samuel to step up. He's a speedster. So far this season, he has 7 catches for 47 yards. But I honestly think this has something to do with locker room issues. I don't think that Kelvin Benjamin was perhaps the most liked guy in that Panthers locker room. Now we can go on and be not the most liked guy in the Buffalo Bills locker room. I think that was as much for Carolina about chemistry as any other factor. Although there's a little bit of a head scratcher for the Panthers, considering they're laying points to Tampa at home this week, or not to Tampa, to Atlanta at home this week.
All right, money time, play of the day. Make your case for Temple.
Sure, it's real simple. Game number 3 of 14, Temple Owls plus the 8. We trust the quarterback, Frank Newtile, in his second start, and we definitely trust the Owls defense. They shut down Navy last year. They've had 3 weeks of prep for the option. I think Temple keeps it close. Play of the day, betting number 314, Temple Owls plus the 8. That's what we got.
All right, very good. Loaded show tomorrow. We recap the World Series. We'll have a champion. We get to UCLA and Utah, Virginia Tech, Miami, Bedlam, and LSU and Alabama. Crazy point spread on that game. That's coming up Thursday on SportsBit. Betting Insight today on SBRPicks.com. Thanks for watching.